Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I am going to talk about figures of speech, and in my other videos previously already I have talked about some of those figures of speeches, and in this particular one I am going to talk about anaphora, and then I will be going forward with epiphora. So stay tuned till you reach the end of the video. So what is anaphora? Let us discuss anaphora first. Of course, it is a figure of speech and where you find a kind of repetition in which a word or a phrase or the same expression that is repeated at the beginning of several successive clauses or sentences. And whenever it is repeated, there is a certain kind of melody that has been created out of it, and that melody really helps us to remind all those lines that are there, and this is also called epanaphora. So let us look at some of those examples. And if we look at John Keats's poem Isabella or the Pot of Basil, we find some of those lines from that poem that reminds us of anaphora. So here are those lines. And she forgot the stars, the moon and sun, and she forgot the blue above the trees, and she forgot the vales where waters run, and she forgot the chilly autumn breeze. You can clearly identify anaphora here because in the beginning of these clauses or these lines or these sentences, you find that a certain kind of repetition is there. And what is repeated over and over? The phrase and she forgot, that is repeated again and again, and it is creating a certain kind of melody, and that is really helpful for us to hear and also to recall. So that is anaphora. And we are also aware of other poem that is written by Lord Byron, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, and I am assuming that you might have read that poem, because if you are preparing for a certain exam regarding English literature, then you will find that definitely. Let us see those lines from Lord Byron's Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, the poem. And here are those lines. There is a pleasure in the pathless woods, there is a rapture on the lonely shore, there is society where none intrudes. So definitely here is anaphora or epanaphora in the beginning of these lines or these sentences, and here the phrase there is repeated again and again in these lines. So this is anaphora. One more thing, let me tell you that anaphora does not have to be always in the beginning of successive lines or sentences. It can be in the beginning of successive clauses. This reminds me of one famous line from Charles Dickens's novel A Tale of Two Cities. That famous first line, it was the best of time, it was the worst of time, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, and something like this goes on. So there is obviously successive clauses which are adjoining there. So there is anaphora. Now tell me one thing, if that repetition happens at the end of those successive several clauses or sentences, what will happen? How do you define that? Obviously we will define that also, and there will be a certain kind of figure of speech, and that figure of speech would be epiphora, or it is also called epistrophe. So if we look at certain example, here are some of the lines. Reading maketh a fool man, conference a ready man and writing an exact man. These lines are from Francis Bacon, and here you will definitely notice that Epiphora is there. Here you will find the word man that is repeated in this line 3 times at the end of 3 clauses. So this is Epiphora or epistrophe. Again, we also find another example from a play Julius Caesar, written by William Shakespeare, the William Shakespeare, and there is words by Brutus. Those words I am mentioning here. So you can clearly say Epiphora is the repetition of words or phrases or simple expression at the end of successive clauses or sentences. Or in case of anaphora, there is repetition in the beginning of those successive clauses or sentences. Now you can define epiphora and anaphora very clearly. One more thing I want to share, that if you find epiphora and anaphora at the same sentence or clauses, successive clauses, how do you define that then? And there is a certain kind of name given to those combination of epiphora and anaphora, and that is called symploce. In symploce you will find anaphora in the beginning and epiphora at the end. So symploce define combination at one place. So that's it for today. I hope you guys will enjoy it, and if you find it helpful, please comment, and I will be very delighted to look at those comments. That's it. Bye bye.